Welcome back to the Home Lab, and I've got a really interesting build demonstration and explanation for you today. What we're going to look at is the fascinating Brunnian link. Sometimes I find something that I just find so fascinating, I really want to share it with you. And that couldn't be more true of this interesting linkage that I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. Back in, well, sort of the Victorian times, a mathematician and physicist called Hermann Brunn in 1892 wrote an article called Über Verkettung, so about chaining. And it was about various linkages. Well, from then onwards, this kind of linkage became named after him, and it's the Brunnian link. But as ever, just before we start, I want to say a huge thank you again to all of you for watching my channel, which has taken on a little bit of a life of its own recently, with videos I've done on old transistor circuits, and particularly the Tin Whiskers video, which really surprised me. And thank you for all your fantastic comments. As ever, PCBWay have been supporting me and encouraging me to make videos, and it's been really important to me that they've just said, do whatever you like and we'll support you, and I've really valued that. As you probably know, they do printed circuit boards and they do CNC machining, but this is a little build that would really benefit from some 3D printing. So why not go and have a look at their website, and I'm sure you'll get some ideas that'll help you with your next project. So let's start by explaining what the Brunnian link is and where you might actually see it. It's an interesting design. It consists of a sort of lock on a gate, and it's got multiple padlocks on it. And it's a very, very clever device, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to unlock just one of the locks and the whole thing will come apart. And it doesn't matter which lock you choose, each one might have a completely different key, but if you remove one lock, you can still open the mechanism and get in. Now, where have I seen them? Well, I've seen them on farmers' field gates and things like that, and particularly areas where there's military access and there's a range of different keys and different people that need to get in. I've also seen them on sort of boat stores out on the coast where people need to get at the boat racks. Now, you might say, well, hang on, why don't you have one padlock and give everyone the same key? Well, can you see the advantage of this? That every time someone joins the club, they can add a padlock with their personal key, and if they leave or lose their key, you can cut off the padlock, put a different one on, and all the other ones are unaffected. I've heard of situations where school teachers have lost a school key, and even though there's a master key, there'll be multiple doors where they have to change the locks for safety. Whereas with this system, each lock is different, each key is different, so if you lose a key, you can remove the lock and change it. And if you have a change of ownership or membership or people that need to get in, you can take the old lock off and put a new one on. It's an absolutely brilliant idea. So now I'm going to show you a little bit more about what it is, how I built it, and how it works. You might have seen those Loom bracelets that you can make out of small elastic bands, where the removal of any one of the bands will cause the whole thing to come apart. In fact, TuneNG's original patent for his Rainbow Loom toy, which was much copied, described it as a Brunnian link making device and kit. And here's an example using girls' hair ties. But be warned, if you start getting into the maths of Brunnian links and knot theory in general, you'll be quickly sucked into the fascinating world of topology, with its knot knots, massive products, hop fibrillation, link groups, and much more. But today, I want to show you a safe that is locked with multiple padlocks in the form of a Brunnian link, where opening of any one of them releases the door to the safe. One of my favourite examples uses 3 padlocks locked together, but opening any one of them releases the other 2. This is in fact an example of Boromine rings, which is a common motif and one that you might have seen as part of a company logo. The interesting thing about the Boromine ring drawings is they're actually an optical illusion, and it takes you a while to see why. It would work if you had slightly bent circles or rings, but if you had completely flat ones, you know, like those, well, a bit like frisbees or the ones that magicians use, it won't work. And I'll show you why very quickly. Can you see that this black ring goes underneath the blue, over the top of the green, then under the blue, then over the green, and then under again? And to do that, it would have to have some sort of wiggles in it. It couldn't be completely flat. So next time you see this, have a closer look. It really does look like three complete circles or rings that are flat, but in fact it's a really clever optical illusion. Forgot to say also, it's a really good way to understand the Brunnian linkage, because if you have a close look, imagine what happens if you remove the black one, so just get rid of that. So that's removing one link. Can you see the green ones on top and the blue ones below, so they'll fall apart? If you think, well, that's a special case, look what happens if you remove the blue one. If you remove the blue one, then the green one's below and the black one's on top, so it'll fall apart again. It's a very clever linkage design. So the plan was to build a transparent money box sealed up with a Brunnian linkage and locked with all different keyed padlocks to show that the use of just one key and the removal of one padlock would be enough to get into the safe and get out the money inside. To build this, I needed to get a number of items together. I could have built the linkage completely out of wood, and I nearly had to, but more of that later. I chose to use solid perspex bar. It's expensive, but the colours look so great that I thought it would be worth it. If you want to copy mine, I also found some mandala dotting tools that turned out just to be regular lengths of solid acrylic bar, which come in a much cheaper price range. I also needed 6 padlocks for the demonstration, and these cheap and colourful luggage locks looked as if they would work really well. So, with the weather being so lovely at the moment, it was out into the garden to start the build. Unfortunately, the main blue perspex bar had not arrived yet, but I wasn't going to let that hold me up, and I just built a temporary one out of a bit of scrap wood that's destined for the log burner when winter comes. This had the added advantage that it could be used as a kind of soft template or jig to hold the perspex bars I was working on, which turned out to be really useful, and a technique I might use again in the future. As with all my projects, there's always lots of holes to drill, and I always start with a smaller drill and work my way up to a bigger size and then the correct size. Whilst I get cracks occasionally, the perspex seems to work much better than it did when I was a kid. It always seemed to splinter and crack back then. I used the trusty desktop bandsaw again to cut a couple of suitable size flat pieces out of a larger sheet I had left over from my Curves of Constant Width video, and drilled suitable holes in those for the padlock shackles to pass through. After a quiet morning's work and a pile of open padlocks to hand, it was time to see how well it all slotted together. Apart from not having the blue perspex bar yet, I was really pleased with how it all came together, and there seemed to be enough slack in the build for it to assemble and disassemble easily when the time comes. With the arrival of the blue perspex bar, I could drill the holes in that going up to 9mm, half a millimetre at a time, to try and avoid cracking it and breaking the ends off. Is there something I'm missing here? Let me know in the comments if there's a better way to drill perspex. I know you can add water to it to lubricate it better, and something that might avoid the risk of cracking. I do remember those little perspex drills, but they always seemed very short and not long enough for this process. Anyway, with the blue bar completed, after what seemed an age of drilling, it was time to pull off some of the protective foil and to slot it all together and see what it looked like. Agreed, it's a bit fiddly, but I think it looks great. So now to the next part of the project, and yes, more perspex for me to wrestle with. So now I needed something to secure, and I thought I'd build a see-through perspex safe for it to lock up. I had the plan to put a £5 note inside the safe and challenge Barry to open it by selecting only one key. With your kind help, I think the FJ's physics budget can just stretch to that, and if successful, he can use it to buy a small Lego toy of his choice, which seems only fair. So, there you go, Barry. Now, how much is in there? Can't open it yet.
£5.
And that is going to be for a Lego for you, okay?
Okay.
But what you have to do is you have to get it out.
Yeah.
So, I've got a plate. And I've got some keys. But I'm going to make it hard for you. Which colour are you going to pick? To build the money box, again my perspex budget was feeling somewhat stretched, so I found these used A5 clear perspex menu stands going cheaply, and whilst they might have the odd scratch, because there's a front and a back, you get two pieces for the price of one. Bargain. I just needed to open them up and get a single flat piece that I could then put the required bends into to start to get the shape of the box I needed. I know there are better ways, but I find the heat gun works really well with a narrow nozzle, and the bend can be easily formed around a piece of right-angled wood. Barry joined me at the workbench, but wanted help putting together his 3D model paper tractor, so that had to take priority. One day, all of this though, will be his. Back to it, and after a bit it was time to drill out the holes needed to hold the sides of the box together using 3mm Allen headed bolts. While not totally necessary, I do like the engineering feel and look that these bolts give a project, so it's worth the extra expense, I feel. Then, with a bit of CAD, cardboard aided design, I could mock up how I wanted the safe's hasp and staple to work. Continuing the theme of bright colours, I thought I'd make this out of bright yellow perspex to complement the colours of the Brunnian linkage and its coloured padlocks. Again, one of those cone cut drill bits proved to be invaluable, and this one drills up to 20mm, which is exactly what I needed to fit the thickest bar of the Brunnian linkage. I was rather late ordering the hinges, so rather than wait I made some temporary ones out of masking tape. And it was at this point I remembered I had a packet of small aluminium gears, which had come out of some old aircraft avionics. I've never had a use for these, so I thought I'd add a couple to the front of the safe to make it look a bit more exciting, even though they serve no mechanical purpose at all. And with this done, but with no hinges fitted yet, I couldn't resist putting the Brunnian linkage into place, and thankfully it all fitted perfectly. With the arrival of the small brass hinges, after a bit of lubrication, I fitted those, which seemed to take an age, and the box was finished. And then I realised it looked really dirty from all the swarf and fingerprints. Perspex is never kind in this area, so I had to unbolt much of it to give it a good clean with Viewplex, which I found does a fantastic job for this sort of thing. Now, I don't suggest this is a quality build at all. Just something I could knock together to give the Brunnian linkage some context. So do ignore the total lack of build quality in this box. You can of course marvel at the contrasting brilliance of the linkage build. So with the box and linkage complete, it was time at last to open it up, put a fresh King Charles III £5 note into it, replace the linkage, and with a bit of fiddling snap the last padlock closed, and then try it out on Barry and see if he could work out how to claim his £5 Lego money reward. So can you get in with your red key? See if you can work it out. Okay, have you got the padlock open?
Yeah.
Now you only get the money if you can get in now with only one key.
How do I do that?
So have a look. Put that one to one side.
The key?
The lock and everything, because it's open now, isn't it? So can you get in? Have a look at what you can do with the bottom orange bar. You see the black padlock?
Yeah.
What can you do with that orange bar?
Take it out.
Yeah, which way? Oh! Now. What's the problem now?
It can't open.
So what can you do with that one?
Take this one out.
Yeah, hold the box. Ah, but it's still locked up.
Can I take that out?
Yeah. Can you get it your Lego money? Yeah. And you get to keep your £5 Lego money.
How do I put it in now?
The yellow one.
Neon. And then put that back
And padlock.
in the
That's quite tricky. You put it through the hole. And then snap it shut. That's the tricky bit. There you go. And take the key out. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Stand the box up. And that's all locked up again. What are you going to do with your £5, Barry?
Can we get it today?
What do you want to get?
Lego.
We're going to get some Lego.
Can we do it today?
We're going to do it tomorrow after swimming. Is that okay?
Okay. I'll just put it in like that. Can I try one more time?
So that was a fun build. I'm always interested to see what I can do with just a few simple materials and some basic and simple hand tools. Now, I know it's not an absolutely brilliant build, and I bet you're screaming at me yet again, FJ, get yourself a 3D printer. But I still believe that building things from scratch like this makes you understand them much more. And it also, I think, means you have less discarded bits at the end, because you can do your trials very early on, and you can do it with, someone rightly pointed out, FJ CAD or cardboard CAD. The musician Rick Beato makes a very interesting point. He says, the creative dependence on technology limits the ability for people to innovate. And I think that's a really interesting comment. Anyway, I enjoyed making it like this. If you make one or you 3D print one, I'm sure it'll be better than mine. And why not let me know in the comments below? I'm always interested to hear how you got on. So have a look out for these on boat stores, farm gates, access to public land, and anywhere where you need multiple parties to access the area, but they might not all be there at the same time. And as I said, why not have a go at building your own? Don't necessarily copy mine. There are all sorts of other arrangements for the linkages you can do. And I'm sure someone out there, when they get the hang of this, will probably design the most complex Brunnian linkage that's ever been made with hundreds of padlocks. Well, it's going to be fun, but you can design one and build one with just one, or, well, more than one, but you just need a few padlocks. You don't even need as many as I've got here. So if you do have a go, let me know how you get on. So thank you again for joining me today to see this build. I've been wanting to share this with you for a very long time. It's something that's really fascinated me. Also, thank you so much for leaving fantastic comments to my videos. It's not just me talking at you. It's a bit like you're my class. I like to hear back from you. Though, unlike some of my students, your experiences are often way more and broader than mine. But I find it really interesting what you've got to add to the stories. And though it's a little small channel, I hope you enjoy the range of videos. Obviously, mainly physics I started with, but I'm sneaking into a little bit more of mechanical and mathematical things and some of the electronics and computer science. So I do hope you find those interesting as well. As ever, do please stay on if you can and you've got time to the end of the video, because as you know, when I finish speaking, I always cut in a few bits that you might find interesting that I've had to leave out of the main body of the video. And most importantly, right at the end, there are some links to other videos that I've made. And if you don't get those, there's a chance maybe that YouTube won't recommend them and you'll miss things that may well be of interest to you. Anyway, whatever happens, you know I'll be making another video soon, and do please join me then. So, can you get in just with the red key? But it works with different keys. You've got £5. And what are you going to do with your £5? Tomorrow you're going to get some Lego in town. Got that? So post it in and we'll open it up tomorrow and we'll go and buy some Legos.